The message came through on a quiet Tuesday morning. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his coffee on the bridge of the Earthship Horizon's Edge when the communications officer called out. A transmission had arrived from somewhere far beyond human space, encoded in the galactic common language that Earth had only learned 3 years ago. Jake set down his mug and walked over to the display screen. The message was formal and carefully written. It was an invitation. The Galactic Council was inviting humanity to attend their annual peace summit on a planet called Vareth Prime. Jake felt his heart beat faster. This was huge. Earth had only made contact with alien life recently, and already they were being invited to one of the galaxy's most important diplomatic events. He called Admiral Helen Price right away. She arrived on the bridge within minutes, her gray hair tied back in a neat bun. Helen had been in the military for 30 years and had seen humanity's first contact with aliens. Now she would help guide them through their first major diplomatic mission. Helen read the invitation twice, her experienced eyes catching every detail. The summit would happen in 6 weeks. It would bring together hundreds of species from across the galaxy. Earth needed to send their best people. Over the next few days, Earth's government worked quickly to put together a team. They chose Lisa Green to lead the delegation. Lisa was 50 years old and had spent her career solving difficult problems between countries on Earth. She was calm, smart, and knew how to talk to people who saw the world differently than she did. If anyone could represent humanity well, it was Lisa. The team also included Ryan Blake, a young diplomatic assistant who was eager and hardworking. There was Dan Foster, a security chief who had protected diplomats in dangerous places all over Earth. Dr. Sophie Miller joined them too. She was a scientist who studied alien life and was excited to meet new species. Finally, there was Paul Stevens, a language expert who had been studying alien cultures since first contact. The 5 of them met in a conference room to prepare. Lisa stood at the front with a tablet showing everything they knew about the Galactic Council. It was not much. "We know that the Council has been around for thousands of years," Lisa explained. "They keep peace between hundreds of different species. Most of them seem to get along well. But we don't know much about their customs or their rules." Sophie raised her hand. "I've been reading the biological data we have on other species. Most of them evolved from prey animals, herbivores mostly. Animals that ate plants, not meat." "What does that mean for us?" Ryan asked. "It means they might be nervous around us," Sophie said. "Humans are predators. We evolved from hunters. Our ancestors ate meat and tracked animals. Some species might find that scary." Dan leaned back in his chair. "So we need to be extra careful not to seem threatening." "Exactly," Lisa said. "We smile. We stay calm. We show them we come in peace." Paul was studying a screen showing images of different alien species. The Trilaxians seemed to be important in the council. They're one of the founding species. And the Vareth who are hosting the summit, they're known for being peaceful and diplomatic. The team spent weeks preparing. They practiced how to greet aliens. They learned basic phrases in several alien languages. They studied what little Earth knew about galactic customs. They wanted everything to be perfect. "Should we bring weapons?" Dan asked during one meeting. Lisa thought about it. "Yes, but keep them hidden. I don't want to walk into an unknown situation without protection, but I also don't want to look aggressive." "Standard sidearms then," Dan agreed. "Nothing heavy." As the day of departure approached, excitement spread through the horizon's edge. The crew knew they were part of something historic. Humanity was about to step onto a much bigger stage. The ship left Earth's orbit on a clear morning. Hundreds of people gathered to watch the departure on screens around the world. Children waved at the sky. News reporters talked about what this meant for humanity's future. Everyone felt that something important was beginning. The journey to Vareth Prime took 2 weeks. The ship had to pass through several jump gates, ancient alien technology that let ships travel vast distances quickly. Each jump was strange and disorienting, like falling through colors that did not have names. During the journey, the team continued to prepare. They ate meals together in the ship's dining hall and talked about what might happen. Sophie was the most excited. She kept reading about different species and imagining what they would look like in person. "Do you think they'll like us?" she asked one evening. Paul shrugged. "We're different from them. We're predators from a dangerous planet. Earth is harder to live on than most worlds in the galaxy, But we've also created beautiful things, art, music, stories. We've learned to live in peace with each other. That should count for something. Ryan looked worried. What if we mess this up? What if we say the wrong thing or do something offensive? Lisa reached over and patted his shoulder. We'll do our best. That's all anyone can ask. We're representing our entire species, yes, but we're also just people trying to make friends. Let's remember that. The night before they arrived at Vareth Prime, Jake joined them for dinner. He could see the nervousness in their faces, but also the determination. You 5 are the bravest people I know, he told them. You're walking into a room full of aliens and you're going to show them what humanity is really about. I'm proud of you. Helen came to their quarters later that evening to give them final advice. Be yourselves, she said. Don't try to be something you're not. Honesty is the best way to build trust. If you don't know something, admit it. If you make a mistake, apologize. Aliens are people too, just in different shapes. That night, Lisa lay in her bunk and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow they would land on an alien world. Tomorrow they would meet hundreds of species they had only seen in pictures. Tomorrow humanity would try to prove they belonged in the galactic community. She thought about Earth so far away now. She thought about all the people counting on them. She thought about the countless generations of humans who had looked up at the stars and wondered what was out there. Now she knew, and she was about to shake hands with it. Sleep came slowly, but when it did, Lisa dreamed of purple skies and crystal buildings, of aliens with kind eyes and welcoming gestures. She dreamed of hope and possibility. She dreamed of a future where humanity had friends among the stars. She had no idea how spectacularly wrong things were about to go. The assembly hall looked different when the humans entered for their presentation. Many seats were empty. Several delegations had chosen to participate remotely, watching through screens from the safety of their ships. Those who had stayed were positioned as far from the human section as possible. The atmosphere was tense and fearful. Lisa walked to the speaking platform with Sophie beside her. The others waited in the human section, sitting very still, keeping their expressions neutral. They had practiced this, no smiles, no direct eye contact unless specifically addressed, every movement slow and careful. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Lisa began, her voice gentle and measured. Yesterday, my delegation caused panic. For this, we apologize sincerely. We did not understand how our natural behaviors would be perceived. Today, we hope to help you understand us better. Sophie activated the first holographic display. It showed Earth from space, a blue and green world spinning slowly. This is our home, Lisa continued. Earth is what we call a difficult planet. The gravity is strong. The weather is harsh. Many forms of life compete for survival there. Humans evolved in this challenging environment. The display changed to show early human ancestors, small figures walking across ancient plains. Our ancestors were not the strongest creatures on Earth, Sophie explained, her voice calm and educational. We were not the fastest. We were not the biggest. But we had something else. We had each other. The images showed groups of humans working together, hunting in teams, sharing food, caring for their young. Humans are social predators, Lisa said. Yes, we are predators. Our ancestors ate meat. They hunted animals. But they did this together as families and communities. A human alone is not very dangerous. But humans working together could survive anything. Sophie brought up a new display showing human faces making different expressions. This is why our social signals are so important to us. We needed ways to communicate trust and cooperation. We needed ways to strengthen our bonds with each other. The display showed a human smiling. This is a smile. When humans are happy, we show our teeth. We understand now that this looks threatening to many of you. To us, it means the opposite. It means we feel safe. It means we trust the people around us. It means we want to share our happiness. Another image showed humans making eye contact. This is how we show respect and attention. When a human looks at you directly, it means you are important to them. It means they value what you are saying. We know now that for many species this feels like a threat. We will learn to communicate differently with you. Paul stood in the human section and spoke, his voice carrying through the hall. We want to share some of our history with you. Human history includes violence. We had wars. We hurt each other. We made terrible mistakes. Lisa could see some aliens shifting nervously as if this confirmed their fears. But, Paul continued, we learned, we grew, we changed. Humans discovered that cooperation was better than conflict. We learned that different groups of humans were stronger working together than fighting apart. It took us a long time, but we built a peaceful world civilization. Sophie showed images of Earth's cities, of humans from different cultures working together, of the international space program that had built the ships that brought humanity to the stars. We are not perfect, Lisa said. We still make mistakes. Yesterday proved that. But we try to be better. We try to learn. And most importantly, we try to understand others. Dan stood now, holding up a small device. This is a human weapon. I carried one yesterday. When the panic started, I moved toward it because I thought my team was in danger. I want to show you something. He placed the weapon on a table in front of him, then stepped back from it. I am leaving this here. I am showing you that I don't need it. I am showing you that I trust you. We would like to propose new security protocols for future diplomatic meetings. Dan explained their ideas. Human security personnel would carry only non-lethal deterrent devices. These devices would be visible, not concealed, so there would be no surprises. Human delegates would announce their presence when entering shared spaces. They would maintain respectful distances unless invited closer. We are willing to adapt, Lisa said. We are willing to change our behaviors to make you comfortable. Because being part of this community matters more to us than holding on to our old habits. Sophie brought up the final display. It showed humans and aliens working together, a vision of what could be possible. We understand that we are different from most of you, Lisa said. We evolved as predators. You evolved as prey. Our instincts are different. Our signals are different. But we believe that understanding can bridge these differences. She paused, looking around the hall carefully, making sure not to make direct eye contact with anyone. We are predators with empathy. We are hunters who learned to care. We are dangerous creatures who chose to be peaceful. This is what makes us human, and we hope it is enough to make us your friends. Lisa and Sophie returned to their seats. The hall was silent. Then slowly Ambassador Zilnek stood. Thank you for this presentation. It was educational and honest. The council will now deliberate. The humans were escorted back to their quarters. The waiting began again. Hours passed slowly. They tried to eat but had no appetite. They tried to rest but could not relax. Everything depended on what happened next. Finally, as evening approached, Zilnex returned. This time Veshrin came with them, along with several other senior council members. The humans stood to greet them, remembering to keep their movements slow and their expressions neutral. We have reached a decision, Zilnex said. Lisa held her breath. Veshrin spoke. I have been a member of this council for many years. I have seen peaceful species welcomed and aggressive species excluded. What happened yesterday terrified me. My instincts screamed at me to run, to hide, to escape from the predators. Lisa's heart sank. This sounded like a rejection. But, Veshrin continued, I forced myself to watch the recordings again. I watched your faces not with fear but with curiosity, and I saw something I did not expect. When the panic began, you did not attack. You did not take advantage of the chaos. Instead, you tried to help. You tried to calm the situation. You tried to protect others. Veshrin stepped closer to the humans than any alien had dared to come before. A true predator sees prey. You saw friends in distress. That tells me more about your species than any presentation could. Other delegates began to stand. One by one, representatives from dozens of species rose to their feet. The Galactic Council welcomes humanity, Zilnex announced formally. Not despite your predatory nature, but because of what you have become. You have shown us that evolution is not destiny. You have shown us that understanding can bridge even the deepest instinctive divides. The hall filled with sounds of approval. Each species had their own way of showing support, and the result was a strange but beautiful symphony of acceptance. Lisa felt tears forming in her eyes but held them back, not wanting to risk another misunderstanding. Thank you, she said simply. We will work hard to earn this trust. Over the following week, something remarkable happened. The humans stayed at the summit and participated in all the sessions. They were careful with their expressions and behaviors, but they were also themselves. And slowly the other species began to relax around them. Sophie spent hours talking with xenobiologists from other species, sharing knowledge about different forms of life. Paul worked with linguists to better understand cross-cultural communication. Dan helped develop new security protocols that made everyone feel safer. But the most interesting development came from an unexpected place. Other species began to ask about the galaxy's excluded predator species. If humans could integrate peacefully, what about others who had been shut out? You have become a bridge, Veshrin told Lisa one evening. You can understand both sides. You have the instincts of a predator, but the values of a peaceful species. You can help us reach out to others we have been afraid of. Lisa thought about that. Humanity had accidentally scared the galaxy. But maybe that accident had opened a door that needed to be opened. Maybe it had started a conversation that needed to happen. Word spread quickly through human space about what had happened. The story of how humanity had accidentally caused a panic at the Peace Summit became famous. But it was not told as a story of failure. It was told as a story about understanding, adaptation, and the power of honest communication. Children on Earth learned about it in schools. It became a lesson in how differences could be strengths and how mistakes could become opportunities. Back on the horizon's edge, Captain Jake Morrison received regular updates from the delegation. When he heard that humanity had been officially welcomed into the council, he gathered his crew to celebrate. We did it, he told them. We scared everyone, we confused everyone, and somehow we still managed to make friends. Admiral Helen Price smiled, then remembered the new diplomatic protocols and closed her mouth. That's humanity for you. We might be predators, but we're predators with heart. The galaxy is still trying to figure out what to make of us. Let them wonder, Jake said. We'll just keep showing them who we are. One careful, non-threatening gesture at a time. The summit continued for another month. By the end, humans had established relationships with dozens of species. The humans sat in Lisa's quarters waiting. Guards stood outside their doors. They were not prisoners exactly, but they were definitely not free to leave. The weight of what had happened pressed down on all of them. I can't believe we messed this up so badly, Ryan said, his head in his hands. We scared the entire galaxy by accident. We didn't know, Sophie said, though she sounded like she was trying to convince herself as much as him.
How could we have known that smiling would be seen as a threat?
Dan stood by the window looking out at the alien landscape. I made it worse. I reached for my weapon. They probably think I was about to start shooting. You were trying to protect us, Lisa said. Your instincts kicked in. It's not your fault. Paul was at his tablet reviewing every piece of information they had about alien species. I should have caught this. I studied their cultures. I should have realized that our basic social behaviors would be interpreted differently. Lisa stood up and faced her team. Stop. All of you, stop blaming yourselves. Yes, we made mistakes, but they were honest mistakes. We came here with good intentions. We can still fix this. How? Ryan asked. They're terrified of us. Half the summit evacuated the room. Before Lisa could answer, there was a knock at the door. Dan opened it to find Ambassador Zilnek standing there, accompanied by several guards and other high-ranking aliens. Lisa recognized High Speaker Veshrin among them. May we come in? Zilnek asked. Of course, Lisa said, gesturing to the furniture. The aliens entered cautiously, maintaining careful distance from the humans. They arranged themselves on one side of the room while the humans stayed on the other. The guards remained by the door. Zilnek spoke first. We need to understand what happened today. Were you attempting to intimidate the assembly? No, Lisa said quickly, then controlled her voice. No, Ambassador. We would never try to intimidate anyone. We came here in peace. Veshrin leaned forward slightly, then explained to us what you were doing. Explain why you were baring your teeth and making those sounds. Lisa took a breath and began to explain. When humans are happy, we smile. Smiling means showing our teeth. It's not a threat. It's the opposite of a threat. It means we're pleased, we're content, we're friendly. You show your teeth as a sign of friendship? Zilnek sounded incredulous. Yes, Sophie joined in. And the sounds we were making, that was laughter. It's another sign of happiness. We laugh when we're joyful or when something amuses us. It's a positive thing. What about the eye contact? Another alien asked. This was a delegate Lisa had not met before, smaller and covered in scales that shimmered green and gold. Paul answered this one. Eye contact is how we show respect and attention. When we look at someone directly, it means we're listening to them. It means we care about what they're saying. On Earth, avoiding eye contact is considered rude. It makes people think you're not interested or that you're hiding something. The aliens looked at each other. Lisa could see they were struggling to process this information. Everything that humans did to show friendship, their instincts told them meant danger. And when your security officer reached toward his weapon, Veshrin asked, Dan stepped forward. I never drew my weapon. I didn't even touch it. When I saw everyone panicking, my first thought was that there must be a threat. I was preparing to defend my team if necessary. It was pure reflex. I had no intention of attacking anyone. Another long silence filled the room. Then one of the other aliens spoke. It was a Fentari, the species with sensitive hearing. When you consumed food earlier, the sounds you made were very disturbing to us. We hear them amplified. The crushing and grinding sounds like predators feeding. We have to chew our food, Sophie explained. Our teeth are designed to break down food before we swallow it. We can't help the sounds it makes. We're sorry if it was disturbing. Lisa watched the aliens carefully. They were listening, really listening. Maybe there was still hope. I think we're beginning to understand, Zilnek said slowly. Your species has no concept of predator-prey dynamics in your social interactions. Not really, Lisa admitted. Humans are social creatures. Yes, our ancestors were hunters, but we hunted together. We survived by cooperating with each other. Our social signals evolved to strengthen bonds within our groups, not to establish hunting dominance over prey. Veshrin stood and walked a bit closer to the humans, though still maintaining distance. Your eyes face forward. This is a predator trait. You have teeth designed for tearing meat. Your movements are quick and precise. Everything about you triggers our deepest survival instincts, yet you claim these things are not aggressive signals. They're not, Lisa said firmly but gently. Our eyes face forward because our ancestors needed to judge distances accurately. We used tools, we climbed trees, we needed to see depth. Our teeth can eat meat, yes, but we also eat plants. We're omnivores, and our movements are just how we move. We're not trying to be threatening. Paul had been thinking while the others talked. Now he spoke up. I've studied your cultures. I've read about your histories. Do any of your species have predators on your homeworlds? Several of the aliens nodded or made equivalent gestures. And how do you respond to those predators? Paul continued. We avoid them, Zilnek said. We run from them. We fear them. Exactly, Paul said. Because to you, predators are always dangerous. They're always threats. But humans are different. We're predators who learn to work together. We're predators with empathy. We understand fear because we feel it too. We don't want to hurt you. We want to be your friends. The room was quiet as the aliens considered this. Finally, Veshrin spoke again. I watched the recordings of today's incident. I forced myself to watch your faces, not with fear but with curiosity, and I saw something that surprised me. Everyone waited for Veshrin to continue. When the panic began, your first instinct was not to attack. You did not see opportunity in the chaos. Instead, you tried to stop it. You tried to calm the situation. You tried to protect others from harm. A true predator would have seen prey in that moment. You saw friends in distress. Lisa felt a flicker of hope. That's exactly right. We saw people we wanted to help. We saw a situation going wrong that we needed to fix. Another alien spoke up, one that Lisa recognized as a Brenthax. My people have a saying. The tree is known by its fruit. Perhaps we should judge you not by your appearance or your instincts, but by your actions. We would like that, Lisa said. We would like the chance to show you who we really are. Zilnek stood. This has been helpful, but the Council needs time to discuss what happened and what it means for humanity's participation in galactic society. You will remain here for now. We will speak again tomorrow. Wait, Lisa said before they could leave. May I make a suggestion? Zilnek paused. What is it? Tomorrow, let us give a presentation about human biology and behavior. Let us explain our species properly. We made mistakes today because we didn't understand how different we are from you. But now we do understand. Let us help you understand us. The aliens looked at each other. Lisa could see them communicating in ways she could not quite follow. Finally, Zilnek nodded. Very well. Tomorrow afternoon, you may present to the Council. But Ambassador Green, understand this. Many species are very frightened right now. Some are calling for humanity to be excluded from the Council permanently. Others are demanding that we classify your species as dangerous. Your presentation tomorrow may be your last chance to change their minds. We understand, Lisa said. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. After the aliens left, the humans sat in silence for a while. The pressure they felt was enormous. Tomorrow they would have to convince hundreds of terrified beings that humans were not the monsters their instincts told them they were. We need to prepare, Lisa finally said. Sophie, I need you to create a detailed presentation about human evolution and biology. Explain everything. Why we look the way we do, how our social behaviors developed. Make it clear and simple. I can do that, Sophie said, already pulling up her tablet. Paul, I need you to help write a speech that explains human culture and values. Show them who we are as people, not just as biological creatures. On it, Paul said. Ryan, help them both. Gather any data they need. Make sure the presentation is perfect. Ryan nodded, looking relieved to have a concrete task. Lisa turned to Dan. I need you to think about security protocols. How can we show them we're not a threat while still maintaining reasonable protection for diplomatic situations? I've been thinking about that, Dan said. I have some ideas. They worked through the night. Sophie created holographic displays showing human evolution, explaining each step and how it led to modern human appearance and behavior. Paul wrote a speech that was honest about human history, but emphasized humanity's capacity for growth and change. Dan drafted security protocols that would make humans less threatening while still maintaining basic safety. As dawn approached, they had something they could be proud of. It was honest. It was clear. It was their best chance to save humanity's place in the galaxy. Lisa looked at her tired team. Get some rest. In a few hours, we're going to show them what humans are really made of. She only hoped it would be enough. The shuttle descended through purple clouds toward the surface of Verath Prime. Through the window, the human delegation could see a world unlike anything on Earth. The sky was a deep violet color, and the landscape below was covered in structures that seemed to grow naturally from the ground, rather than being built. Everything glowed softly with its own light. It's beautiful, Sophie whispered, pressing her face close to the window. The shuttle landed on a smooth platform near the main summit building. As the doors opened, warm air rushed in, carrying strange but pleasant smells. The delegation stepped out carefully, looking around at their new surroundings. A tall figure approached them. It walked on two legs like a human, but was much thinner, with 4 arms and large eyes that reminded Sophie of a deer. Its skin was pale blue and seemed to shimmer slightly in the light. Welcome, humans, the being said through a small device attached to its chest. The translator made its voice sound musical. I am Ambassador Zilnex of the Varath people. We are honored to have your species join us for this summit. Lisa stepped forward and bowed slightly, a gesture of respect they had practiced. Thank you, Ambassador Zilnex. We are grateful for the invitation. I am Lisa Green, and this is my team. Zilnex's large eyes moved over each of them. Lisa noticed the ambassador seemed nervous, though she could not quite figure out why. Zilnex kept a careful distance from them, never coming closer than a few meters. Please follow me to your accommodations, Zilnex said, gesturing with 2 of its 4 arms. The opening reception begins this evening. You will have time to rest and prepare. They walked through corridors made of the same glowing material as the buildings outside. Other aliens moved through the halls, and Lisa saw dozens of species she had never seen before. There were small furry creatures that traveled in groups, staying close together. There were beings that floated in spheres filled with water. There were tall giants whose skin changed colors as they walked. There were insect-like creatures with many legs and eyes. What Lisa noticed most was how they all reacted to the human delegation. Conversation stopped as they passed. Aliens turned to stare. Some moved away quickly, pressing themselves against the walls. Others watched them with what looked like fear or suspicion. Is it my imagination, or are they scared of us? Ryan whispered. Keep walking and stay calm, Lisa whispered back. We expected this. We're new and unknown to them. Their rooms were comfortable but strange. The beds were too soft and the chairs were the wrong shape for human bodies. But there was everything they needed. The team gathered in Lisa's room to talk about what they had seen. Did you notice how everyone looked at us? Dan said. Like we were dangerous. We might be, Sophie said. To them, I mean. Think about it. We're predators. Most of the species we saw looked like they evolved from prey animals. Their instincts probably tell them to be afraid of us. Paul was making notes on his tablet. We need to be extra careful tonight at the reception. No sudden moves. Speak softly. Try to seem as unthreatening as possible, Lisa agreed. This is our first impression. We need to show them that humans can be peaceful and friendly. We're here to make friends, not to scare anyone. That evening, they dressed in their formal diplomatic clothes and made their way to the grand hall where the reception was being held. The room was enormous, with a ceiling so high it seemed to disappear into darkness. Hundreds of aliens filled the space, talking in groups, sharing food and drink, and conducting the quiet business of diplomacy. The humans entered together, trying to look confident but not aggressive. Immediately, the noise in the hall decreased. Beings turned to look at them. The humans could feel every eye in the room watching their entrance. "Smile and wave," Lisa said quietly. "Show them we're friendly." They moved into the crowd, and slowly the conversations resumed. Lisa led her team through the hall, stopping to introduce themselves to different delegations. Most aliens were polite but cautious. They kept their distance and seemed ready to move away quickly if needed. The Quilnari were small creatures covered in soft fur. When Lisa approached their group, they huddled together, the larger ones moving in front of the smaller ones. Lisa recognized it as protective behavior. She kept her voice gentle and spoke to them from several steps away. "Hello, I am Lisa Green of Earth. We are honored to meet you." The largest Quilnari responded, its translator making its voice sound high and quick. "Welcome, human. You are far from your home." "We are," Lisa agreed, "but we hope to make new friends here." The Quilnari seemed to relax slightly, though they never stopped watching the humans carefully. The conversation was brief and formal, but it was a start. They met the Brenthax next, the tall giants whose skin changed colors. Sophie was fascinated by their biology and asked careful questions about how their color communication worked. The Brenthax seemed pleased by her interest and were more welcoming than some other species had been. The Nereid floated in their water spheres, and communicating with them required special equipment. Paul, who had studied their language, managed a simple greeting that seemed to surprise and delight them. They responded warmly, and Lisa felt a small victory. Maybe this would work after all. But not every interaction went well. When they approached a group of insectoid Klaxi, the creatures became very still, watching the humans with their compound eyes. Dan noticed that they had positioned themselves near an exit, ready to leave quickly if needed. The conversation was tense and short. "They're terrified," Sophie said after they moved away. "Did you see how they froze?" "That's a fear response. We need to do better," Lisa said. She was starting to understand just how big a challenge this was going to be. Halfway through the evening, a being approached them. It was elegant and moved with fluid grace. Its skin was pale silver and its features were delicate. Lisa recognized it as a Trilaxian, one of the founding species of the Galactic Council. "Ambassador Green," it said through its translator. "I am High Speaker Veshran. I wanted to personally welcome your species to the summit." Lisa bowed again. "Thank you, High Speaker. We are honored to be here." Veshran's expression was hard to read, but Lisa sensed something uncertain in the way it held itself. "Yes, well, we shall see how things proceed. Your species has quite a reputation already." "A reputation?" Lisa asked. "We've only been in contact with the galaxy for 3 years." "Exactly," Veshran said. "And in that time, many stories have spread. Stories about your world, about your history, about what your species is capable of. Some find it fascinating. Others find it concerning." Before Lisa could ask what kind of stories, Veshran had already moved away, leaving the humans standing in the middle of the crowded hall feeling confused and worried. The rest of the reception passed without major incident, but the humans could not shake the feeling of being watched constantly. Every move they made was observed by dozens of eyes. Every word they spoke seemed to be carefully analyzed. The weight of representing their entire species felt heavier than ever. As they returned to their quarters late that night, the team was exhausted. They gathered one more time to discuss the evening. "That was harder than I expected," Ryan admitted. "I felt like I was walking on glass the whole time." "We all did," Lisa said. "But we got through it. Tomorrow the official summit begins. That's when we'll really have our chance to show them who we are." Dan checked the door locks, his security instincts on high alert. "Something feels off about this whole situation. Why invite us if they're this afraid of us?" "Maybe that's exactly why they invited us," Paul suggested. "Maybe they want to figure out if we're a threat or not." Sophie looked tired but thoughtful. "We're the test case. Humans are predators, but we're also peaceful. If we can integrate into the council, maybe other predator species can too. We might be opening doors for others." Lisa thought about that as she prepared for bed. It made sense. The galaxy was full of prey species living in harmony. But what about the predators? Where were they? Were there others like humanity, trapped outside because of what they were rather than who they were? Tomorrow she would give a speech to the entire assembly. Tomorrow, humanity would present itself to the galaxy. She needed to find the right words, the right tone, the right way to help these beings see past their fears and recognize humans as friends. But she had no idea that tomorrow would not go as planned. She had no idea that one simple human gesture would cause panic across the entire summit. She had no idea that by this time tomorrow, the galaxy would be talking about humans for all the wrong reasons. She fell asleep thinking about her speech, carefully choosing words that would build bridges. She never suspected that bridges could collapse so quickly. The morning of the first official summit session arrived with clear purple skies. The human delegation ate breakfast together in their quarters, reviewing Lisa's speech one final time. They were all nervous but also excited. Today, humanity would speak to the galaxy for the first time. The main assembly hall was even more impressive than the reception area. It was shaped like a huge amphitheater, with seating arranged in circles that rose up toward the ceiling. Each species had their own section with furniture and equipment, designed for their specific needs. The humans found themselves seated near the center of the hall, visible to almost everyone else. "Well, at least everyone can see us," Ryan said, trying to make a joke to calm his nerves. "That's both good and bad," Dan replied, scanning the room with his trained security eyes. He noticed that several species had positioned themselves far from the human section. Others had security personnel standing nearby, watching the humans carefully. The morning session began with formal speeches from council leaders. Lisa listened carefully, trying to understand the tone and style of galactic diplomacy. The speeches were flowery and full of compliments. Everyone praised everyone else. It was all very polite and peaceful. Then came presentations from different species about trade agreements and resource sharing. Lisa was impressed. These beings really did work together well. They had built something beautiful here, a society where hundreds of different species cooperated for the common good. During a mid-morning break, the humans stayed in their section while other delegations mingled. Ryan went to get refreshments from a food station that had been set up for species with similar dietary needs to humans. He returned with drinks and something that looked like protein bars. "The food scanner said these are safe for us," Ryan said, handing out the items. Sophie examined hers carefully. "Looks like synthesized nutrients. Probably tastes bland but safe." Dan took a bite of his bar. It made a loud crunching sound. "Not bad. Kind of nutty." He did not notice that nearby a group of Fentari delegates had stopped their conversation and were looking at him with wide eyes. Their sensitive hearing made the crunching sound seem much louder and more violent than it actually was. The afternoon session began, and Lisa's moment arrived. Her name was announced, and she walked to the speaker's platform in the center of the hall. She could feel hundreds of eyes watching her every move. She took a deep breath and began. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," Lisa said, her voice steady and clear. "My name is Lisa Green, and I have the privilege of representing humanity at this gathering. We are a young species new to the stars, and we come before you with open hearts and minds." She spoke about Earth, describing its blue oceans and green lands. She talked about human history, carefully emphasizing the good parts. She spoke about art and music, about science and philosophy. She talked about how humans had learned to put aside their differences and work together. "We have made mistakes," Lisa admitted. "Our history includes war and conflict. But we have also learned from those mistakes. We have built a peaceful global civilization. We have reached for the stars not as conquerors, but as explorers hoping to find friends among the cosmic community." As she spoke, Lisa did what came naturally to her. She made eye contact with different beings in the audience. On Earth, this showed sincerity and engagement. It was how you showed people you were really talking to them, really listening, really caring about what they thought. She looked at a group of Trilaxians and smiled warmly. She looked at the Brenthax and nodded respectfully. She looked at the Quilnari with what she hoped was a friendly expression. What Lisa did not know, could not have known, was that she was making a terrible mistake. For most species in the hall, direct eye contact from a predator was a threat. It was what predators did when they were hunting, when they were choosing prey, when they were preparing to attack. Every time Lisa made eye contact with a delegation, they saw it as an aggressive challenge. Her warm, friendly gaze was being interpreted as hostile and dangerous. But the beings were too polite, too controlled by diplomatic protocol to react immediately. They stayed in their seats, becoming more and more uncomfortable, but saying nothing. Lisa finished her speech, satisfied that it had gone well. She returned to her section and her team stood up to greet her. This was a human custom, a way of showing support and pride. "Great job," Dan said, standing and reaching out to shake her hand. "Really excellent," Sophie agreed. Also standing, Ryan and Paul stood as well, gathering around Lisa. And then, because they were proud and happy and relieved that the speech had gone so well, they all did something completely natural for humans. They smiled. Not small smiles, big, genuine smiles, the kind of smiles that showed teeth, the kind of smiles that came from real joy and accomplishment. To the humans, it was a moment of shared happiness. To every other species in the hall, it looked completely different. They saw 5 predators standing together, baring their fangs, staring out at the assembly. 5 hunters showing their weapons. 5 dangerous beings making a threat display. Then the humans started laughing quietly among themselves. The sound was soft to human ears, but in the quiet hall it carried. And to beings whose ancestors had been hunted by predators that made similar sounds, it was terrifying. A Quilnari in the front section suddenly stood up. Then another. Within seconds, the entire Quilnari delegation was moving quickly toward the exits. Their small legs carried them fast, their protective instincts screaming at them to run. The movement triggered responses in other species. The Nereid in their water spheres began backing away toward the walls. A group of Fentari delegates made high-pitched sounds of alarm. The Brenthax, despite their large size, started moving away from the human section with surprising speed. "What's happening?" Ryan asked, confused as species began fleeing in all directions. Dan's security training kicked in immediately. His first thought was that there must be a threat, some kind of danger he had not spotted. He stood up straighter, his hand moving automatically toward where his weapon was concealed under his jacket. He was ready to protect his team from whatever had caused this panic. This made everything so much worse. Now the other species saw a human predator moving into an aggressive stance, reaching for what was clearly a weapon. The panic intensified dramatically. More delegations ran for the exits. Some species were making alarm calls. Others were activating emergency communication devices. Security teams from multiple species began surrounding the human section, their various weapons drawn and pointing at the confused humans. "Everyone stop moving," Lisa shouted at her team, her mind finally understanding what was happening. "Don't move. Don't smile. Don't look at anyone. Just freeze." The humans stood perfectly still, their hands visible, their expressions carefully neutral. They were completely bewildered about what had just happened, but smart enough to know they were in serious danger. Ambassador Zilnex was speaking urgently over the hall's communication system, calling for calm in multiple languages. Security personnel were trying to restore order while also keeping weapons trained on the humans. High Speaker Veshran was gesturing to various delegations, trying to get them to stop fleeing. It took 20 minutes for the chaos to settle down. By then, half the delegations had left the hall. The other half remained only because they were too far from exits or because their security teams had convinced them to stay. The beautiful, peaceful summit had become a scene of panic and fear. The humans were surrounded now by at least 30 armed security personnel from different species. None of them were pointing weapons directly at the humans anymore, but they were ready. They were watching for any sign of aggression. Lisa stood very still, her hands raised slightly to show they were empty. "We mean no harm," she said clearly. "We did not intend to cause fear. Please, let us explain." Zilnex approached cautiously, staying behind the security perimeter. "Ambassador Green, you and your delegation need to return to your quarters immediately. You will remain there under guard until the council decides what to do about this incident." "But we don't understand what happened," Sophie said. "We were just celebrating. We were happy about the speech. You were baring your teeth at the entire assembly," Zilnex said. And Lisa could hear real fear in the translator's interpretation of the ambassador's voice. "You made direct aggressive eye contact with multiple delegations. You made threatening sounds. One of your members reached for a weapon. Do you understand how this looked to us?" Understanding crashed over Lisa like a wave. "We were smiling," she said quietly. "It's a sign of happiness for humans. We show our teeth when we're happy." Zilnex stared at her. "You smile with your teeth showing? As a sign of happiness?" "Yes," Lisa said. "And eye contact means we're listening respectfully. And the sounds were laughter, which is how we expressed joy, and Dan was just making sure we were safe. He never even drew his weapon. There was a long, terrible silence. Then Zilnek said softly, "You need to come with us now. We will talk more in private." The humans were escorted out of the hall through empty corridors. The summit had been suspended. Species were returning to their ships or locking themselves in their quarters. The first day of what should have been a peaceful gathering had ended in disaster.